We have been going through each of the rising signs in astrology, and today we're going to talk about Virgo rising. So we'll start by talking about the Virgo archetype and how what it's like to express that energy on the first house, and then we'll go through house by house using whole sign houses and talk about the journey of a Virgo rising birth chart. So let's get into it. Virgo is represented by the Virgin, and in this representation we can see a certain kind of innocence, a certain kind of purity, and a certain kind of devotion, right? These can be kind of key words for Virgo in an interesting way. Virgo is mutable earth. Mutable is the modality and earth is the element. And Virgo is the nocturnal home sign of Mercury, the planet of communication, information, and exchange. So because of this, Virgo can really excel in the areas of information exchange that are more internal and less external, right? So Virgo can be fantastic at preparing for communication, right? Or keeping the receipts so that we know what was communicated, or sorting through the details and the data to make sure that we're coming to factual conclusions, right? Virgo is great at organizing, sorting, classifying, categorizing, all of these more material sides of information collecting and disseminating, right? So Virgo is very analytical. Virgos are great problem solvers. It's great problem solving energy because they're always looking to fix things, to make things a little bit more efficient, to make things work just a little bit better. Virgos can be devoted to schedules and plans because it can be a way of harnessing that mercurial energy and again, making it a little bit more material. Virgos are detail-oriented, Virgo is service-oriented, and Virgo is process-oriented. And so all of these things can come together and we can think of Virgo as having like a perfectionism complex, and I'm not saying that they don't have a desire to perfect, but Virgo also recognizes the inherent need for messiness. But the thing is that they believe that even mess should be categorized and classified and organized in a certain kind of way. We should know when we're being messy because that's how we know how to make things better eventually, right? Virgo risings are fantastic at manifesting things into the tangible, right? They can take things from theory to praxis very well. Virgo risings are sharp and discerning. They can be practical and methodical and logical, and they have a strong sense of responsibility typically. Virgo risings can be very witty. They can be known for keeping the receipts, so I wouldn't try to pull one over on a Virgo rising. They can be precise and meticulous when needed, but again, can't lose sight of that knowing the necessity of mess as well. And they can be quite critical, but with Virgo on the first house, they are more likely to turn that critique inward than anywhere else. And while people can feel that critique on them, it's typically just them trying to help to make things run a little bit better. Virgos are resilient and crafty, and they are harvesters, healers, and they can be very spiritual. But that's just the first house. So let's talk about what a Virgo rising birth chart looks like. So from the first house, we move to the Libra second house. And one of the important things to notice about the Libra second house is that for Virgos, taking care of themselves is an inherently relational thing. So this can mean that there are some sort of deep-seated people-pleasing tendencies in a Virgo rising because they might believe that their own security and ability to provide for themselves is rooted in everyone else feeling like the situation is fair and working for them and is copacetic, right? They might feel a need to satisfy everyone as a way of feeling taken care of themselves. But also on another level, it's just relational. They may feel like they actually need a soundboard, someone to reflect themselves back to in order to understand what they actually need. They have a Scorpio third house, which dovetails really nicely with that depth of communication that Virgo can really thrive in, because with a Scorpio third house, they are very devoted and emotionally invested in their close relationships. Their people matter a lot to them, whether that's siblings, neighbors, cousins, close friends, they're really important, but also they have an incredibly deep and cutting way of communicating, even in a mundane kind of way. With Sagittarius on the fourth house, Virgos may not have had the most stable and consistent relationship with home lives or early childhood or with their early caregivers. They might have been moved around a lot. They might have found a lot of unpredictability in their early childhood lives. And there might be a lot of stories that have been told and passed down through their lineage. They might have heard a lot of stories about their ancestors, about the places that they come from, who they are in that sense, who they are in the sense of where they come from. They might have a lot of stories about that. With Capricorn on the 5th house, it's so important for Virgos to have appropriate structure when they're trying to have fun. It's not fun for them if they don't understand what's going on. It's not fun for them if they don't feel like there are parameters and boundaries around what's going on. And when it comes to creative practices, it's so important for them to take them seriously, to take themselves seriously, and to give themselves the ability to produce without too much judgment. So whether that's children or creative projects, they have to trust their own discernment in a certain kind of way and just let things be real. With an Aquarius 6th house, it can be really important for Virgo risings, again, to also have that structure in their daily lives, but also to give themselves the permission to break the rules. Part of knowing the structure that they need, part of knowing what their daily routines should look like, what their preventative care routine should look like, is in knowing that there is structure, yes, but part of it is also in breaking the rules that they perceive as being entrenched, and in making sure that they are allowing that service-oriented nature that they have to show up in their daily lives, to show up in their mundane realities, in their everyday rituals. With a Pisces 7th house, Virgo risings are so much more romantic than we give them credit for, and romantic in a big sense, not necessarily just romantic in one-on-one relationships, but romantic about what it means that we get the pleasure and joy of being able to relate to one another, right? They can be kind of head over heels in a certain kind of way. Or what I should say is when they fall, they really fall, you know? But also for Virgo risings, kind of going back to that Libra 2nd house, there's something just really, really important to them about the fact that they're connecting with other people, and that they're connecting with other people in a way that honors the beauty and the magic in that, you know? In the Aries 8th house, we can see that Virgo risings can actually have a really embodied and almost impulsive need to act when it comes to certain kinds of commitments and certain kinds of sharing of themselves, right? They might be really quick to take on the role of caretaking for another, but they can also be impulsive about actually sharing themselves, sharing resources, giving of themselves to the other in a big way. And it can come from a really energetic and embodied place within them. Having Taurus on the ninth house, I think shows how devoted Virgo risings can be to the things that they decide to study, right? When they decide they want to learn something, when they decide they want to teach something, when they decide they want to explore something, they are very committed to this in a practical and grounded way. And the idea of learning more, of going deep, of understanding things can be very alluring for them in that Venus kind of way. That Gemini 10th house shows the importance, but also the conflict inherent in Virgos taking all of their internalized mercurial work and putting it out into the world, right? It's so important that when they spend all of this time sorting and collecting and organizing information, that they also take credit for actually just saying it out loud, for another person hearing it and crediting them with it, right? But also in the 10th, Virgos can come off a little bit more irreverent than I think we think they are. With Cancer in the 11th house, again, Virgos people really matter to them. The communities they form are so important to them, and the work that they want to do is inherently work that takes care of people. And finally, with Leo in the 12th house, their internal worlds, the things that they tuck away from even themselves, can be really big. There can be showmanship really deeply rooted in every Virgo rising, but there's a way that they may feel like their more egoic tendencies can undercut their desire to make things better in a service-oriented way. I hope you liked this Virgo rising journey. Up next, Libra risings.